let's talk about a team and a fan base that is absolutely down horrendous at the moment. Okay. So Philadelphia is Phillying. Our favorite sports news outlet, ESPN, dropped a bombshell report 2 days ago about how Philly, after losing to the Miami Heat 106-89, a blowout loss in a game where they held a 19-point lead at one point, lost to the Miami Heat. They had a team meeting following that game. And I'm just going to read a quick quote from this story. The loss was the team's fourth in a row, sparking veteran guard Kyle Lowry to call for the meeting, a much needed heart to heart and a call to action and urgency. You know, a team that was 2-10 before that game, they needed a call to urgency. Players and coaches held each other accountable and took fault in the start to the season. So that's a really important point to this. This wasn't a players only meeting, it was players and coaches. Tyrese Maxey challenged Embiid to be on time to team activities, calling out the 2023 league MVP about being late for everything, quote, for everything, and how it impacts the locker room from other players to the coaching staff. Sources briefed on the meeting told ESPN.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Ryan, when you heard about this story, how lucky did you feel hearing about all this trauma that our superstar Nikola Jokic is literally as drama-free as it gets?
It papers over a lot of problems. That's for sure. Like, no matter what, Denver's never going to be a perfect organization. They're never going to do things perfectly. Like, Jamal is like, he's a flawed second option for sure. The process has never been perfect for the Nuggets. But through it all, you know that there's going to be one constant, and that is that Nikola Jokic is an unbelievable player, somebody that can do everything for the team and isn't going to complain, isn't going, like, his process is always good. He's going to show up. He's going to be in the weight room. He's going to do everything by example, and he's going to take responsibility when things don't go well. And that's one thing that we've seen every time that Embiid has been in a situation where, like, things haven't been perfect for him. A lot of times, like, he goes out of his way to make sure that he is not in the crossfire, to make sure that he's not downrange for what other people are firing their criticism at. And it was Ben Simmons, it was Jimmy Butler, it was Tobias Harris, it was Doc Rivers, it was Brett Brown, it was Al Horford, it was Josh Richardson, it was Tyrese Maxey, it was James Harden, and now we're finally getting back around to Joel Embiid, but we'll see. Like, maybe we'll skip him and go right to Paul George, which, I mean, another guy that's probably like in the crosshairs for many things at this point. But I don't know. Like, was I surprised? No. How could anybody be surprised at this point? This is a yearly occurrence.
So, to your point about Embiid placing blame on others, I wanted to read another quote here from a story in The Athletic that it seems was about how, oh, this all happened, but just by the way, Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey are safe, everybody. It's all good. They talked about how team chemistry needs to improve, though Embiid and Maxey are fine. So they're trying to be like, okay, like, this is like a thing, but all the relationships are fine. Those same sources said that Embiid mostly agreed with Maxey's message. I highlighted that. Like, that mostly is doing a lot of work there. Embiid, league, and team sources heard the message while also expressing a lack of clarity and occasional frustration about how he is being used on the court. Embiid is coming off of some unspecified
Hold on. Can you say that again? Like, yeah. The clarity on what he's doing on the court?
On like, how he's being used.
So what does he want to do?
I don't know.
He doesn't have to go into the post. He doesn't have to, like, do anything other than protect the rim, really. He gets to, like, anytime he gets doubled, they spread the floor as wide as possible so that he doesn't have to make any tough reads, any tough decisions. He doesn't have to rebound that crazy. Like,
I
Everybody
mean, he
else
kind of does because they suck at rebounding,
now
but
they do, but
he's not even
like
like
he's
doing that.
yeah, like he's never been
A
a
great
good
rebounder
rebounder
for his
really for the
position.
size
Yeah.
that he is. Like he should be dominating the boards, but it's just very rare. Yeah, like that is par for the course is what I'll say. Like I'm not really breaking any news here. With Jokic, you're never going to get these criticisms because you know that his mind is going to be in the right place. He's always going to look inward in these cases and try to figure out how he can get better in these situations before looking at anybody else.
Yeah.
And that is what has continued to make him the best possible player he can be. Embiid is plateaued. Like the injuries are a problem, and like that is an unfortunate thing. Like if he has done everything that he can to stay healthy and to stay in shape and to do the things that he's needed to do, and the injuries still happened, then like obviously that sucks, and nobody wants to see that. But I don't think that he's done everything that he's needed to do from a peer perspective.
I mean, if you have your 24-year-old co-star calling you out for being late to quote everything,
That's hard to
all
do.
these team activities, it's just like a really bad tone to set from the top, especially for a team when you think about it. This is a team that was outside of Embiid and Maxey built entirely through free agency.
Mhm.
Everybody else on the team is brand new. You're trying to set a tone, a culture of, taking things seriously, and that's just apparently not happening at all. Um, just one quick last thing, as I was scouring all the media sources for this because how could I not?
Oh
This is
yeah,
this is number 2 on my hate
popcorn.
agenda list. Uh, the PHLY guys who are I think really great
So,
members of the Philly media, they were not happy about really anything that they've seen from Embiid, whether it's because of the injury or not, because they're worried about like the fact that like what if he's that bad, why is he playing right now? But also with the revelations that came out from the leaks from these team meetings, they talked about how they were hoping that Embiid's experience at the Olympics with Team USA and playing with all of these high dedication, high effort guys and like Steph and Katie and LeBron who are like they're at the peak of when it comes to like you even like for all the criticisms you may have about these guys games and like they're obviously like getting up there in age, those guys are dedicated to their work
oh yeah.
both on and off the court. And they said that the Olympic experience was wasted on Embiid. That was probably the harshest criticism that I'd heard from anybody at all, and it was coming from these guys who were also fans of the team. Because I got into following basketball in the 2023 playoffs, and I was also following that Sixers Celtics series. And that was actually the series that really turned me on Philadelphia because I was mad at them for letting
Sure.
Boston win.
Absolutely.
Right. But there was the Embiid criticism I thought had reached a fever pitch at the end of that series because of how he went out in that game 7 where, despite his criticisms of Tobias Harris, he scored less than Tobias Harris in that game. But this set of critiques about Embiid, like they're not really about like, oh, playoff choker, this or that. It's all about all the preparation like leading up to the game. And so I think that this is different. I don't know if it's going to result in a different outcome in terms of, how like Embiid's approach or the team's approach or anything like that. But this is one of the reasons that when Will and I did our team tiers going into the season, I just couldn't put them in a tier where I expect them to make a conference final, not only because they haven't, but because there's nothing that would make me think that this team is more serious
Yeah.
than they have been in the past.
Their serious addition this offseason was Paul George.
Yeah.
Like obviously that is a damning statement right there. And it's unfortunate because Paul George is another guy who's had a whole bunch of injuries happen to him, and he's been somebody that has been dragged down by that and was a different caliber of player, different caliber of leader at one point. But The Clippers stuff has definitely rubbed off on him. Embiid, I think the way he learned from the Olympics was that, hey, it's really nice to get carried every once in a while, and so he didn't show up to the first few games, and that was kind of cool. Maxey is, I'm sure, pretty frustrated, and like he's the son of Philadelphia now. So if here's the thing, like if Philly ends up moving Embiid and they get a big package for him, or they get what they can for him, then I don't think that Philly fans will be that upset. And because like this is one of those moments where you start to think about it as a franchise and you're like, yeah, we've been defending this guy because he's been our guy. But the moment that he's not our guy, and the moment that he's not really bought into everything that we're trying to do here, like sayonara, big fella. Like this is all you need to know. And I think if you could tell them that you could get Bam Adebayo, Jaime Jaquez, and like salary for Embiid, then like they would do it. They would do it in a
Pat
heartbeat.
Riley is not doing that.
Absolutely not. How could he? How could he? That would be so irresponsible of Miami to do. And so that's the problem that they're now running into, is that the teams that are going to be willing to trade for Embiid are going to try to get him on a discount.
Yeah.
And they probably could have traded him this offseason and been a lot better.
The other big news item from this week is that the NBA and Discovery/Warner Media have settled their breach of contract dispute. So we talked about this earlier in the summer, how the NBA's new media rights deal basically cut out Discovery, which would mean no more games on TNT, which is owned by them. The new media rights deal includes NBC, Disney, which under that umbrella is ESPN and ABC, and then Amazon as well. Just as a quick summary, the whole like with the lawsuit, Discovery had a matching clause in the previous contract, but they tried to match something that didn't actually match the way that they actually distribute games. They tried to match a cheaper package, but anyway, the NBA was like, no. And then they tried to sue, and now they're settling because they were probably going to lose that lawsuit. The major concession here is that ESPN and ABC will be licensing inside the NBA. And something important to note for that is Shaq is not yet under contract with TNT for next year. But Ryan, what was your reaction to hearing that, that this licensing deal with inside the NBA would be a thing? Because I know a lot of people were kind of up in arms about the fact that inside the NBA wouldn't be a thing anymore if, Discovery didn't have they weren't part of the NBA media rights deal after this season.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I didn't really care one way or the other.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate reality about this, is that a lot of people have very strong feelings about inside the NBA and what they've meant to NBA culture over the course of the past however many years. Charles Barkley's been on TV for, I think he said 25 years. This will be his 25th year. And I thought he was going to retire after this point. I thought that's what he had said. And now it looks like the licensing agreement is going to be including inside the NBA, which, I mean, it's got to include Chuck at that point. Ernie Johnson's wonderful. Kenny Smith he's fine. Shaq is not my favorite. I'll say that. If like Ernie and Charles are the ones that I would watch inside the NBA for, but the truth is I don't really watch inside the NBA that often.
Yeah.
Part of that is because I'm at some games, but when I'm on the road or when I have an opportunity to tune in, I'm not really tuning in that strong. And like I'm surprised that ESPN's going this route. And like they were hooting and hollering about that in their press release, that they got inside the NBA and everybody's excited. And the first thing that I really thought of is like, I don't really want to watch Stephen A and the Inside the NBA crew together. Like I don't really want to watch that. Like that's not going to.
Especially however ESPN and ABC is going to further chop it up from
okay,
the like semi-watchable thing it is right now.
Yeah.
Like
now instead of 5-minute segments on the game or something funny that's happening, you're going to get a minute-long segment and then 4 minutes of commercials about what's actually going on around the league. And that's like I've not been a fan of the way the ESPN's run their stuff. I've not been a fan of the way the TNT's kind of going out sad right now. And my hope in all of this is that Amazon or NBC can put together a matching product that takes away some of that viewership and really pushes the game forward,
Yeah.
because the game has not been pushed forward by either of those last two entities.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. And I honestly, when I saw that they'd have the licensing, rights, I was like, well, they might not even use it. This feels like a fake concession that they just had to have in the settlement to save face because they were going to lose the lawsuit anyway. Just one major implication of this is that it is one less barrier to expansion. Adam Silver, when asked about expansion and adding, I believe they're looking at adding two more NBA teams, is the word on the street. They were waiting, one, to get the media rights deal like finalized and through, and two, to make sure that the sales, or I guess ownership dispute in the case of the Timberwolves, was resolved first, and then the sale of the Boston Celtics, which is on the market right now, and it seems like they have a buyer lined up and ready to goes through before they move on for expansion. But the media rights deal was a major part of that. So
Right.
after those other things are resolved, expect talks about expansion and West teams jockeying to get thrown into the Eastern Conference to begin. I just had this in my notes here, Ryan, about how there's this contentious ownership dispute that's been going on with the Timberwolves for the last over a year now. Are you surprised that the Wolves ended up trading Karl Anthony Towns, their franchise player, in the middle of a contentious ownership dispute where, you might not know what the, potentially new ownership might want to do in that situation? Although the people who are trying to become the majority owners in that franchise are minority owners, so they're not necessarily that far out of alignment from current ownership with their ideas. But I just thought it was a pretty big move to make in the middle of, like, we don't know who's going to own this team in like a month,
It was a fascinating move when it did happen. It's one of those business of sports things that you don't necessarily fully appreciate in the moment. You're like, why did they trade Karl Anthony Towns to New York for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo? Are you sure that is the right call here? And especially from that financial perspective, as you mentioned. I think that they fully understood the ramifications of the second apron and the ramifications of paying a whole bunch of money and not being able to put the best team around Anthony Edwards as possible. I think that they have a longer runway with Anthony Edwards, and this isn't just a thing where they need to capitalize right now. They need to be able to capitalize for the next 5 years. And it's kind of that vision that the Nuggets have tried to put out there by not necessarily re-signing KCP and instead going a different direction and trying to remain under the second apron themselves. We can hash that out at another time, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, Anthony Edwards is 23 and Nikola Jokic is 30, or almost 30.
Yeah, almost 30. He'll be 30 in what, 3 months?
Not 30 yet. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. So
actually, today's actually my birthday, and I just realized I am the same age as Nikola Jokic for a couple of months now. So.
Happy birthday, Grace.
Thank you. Did you say I deserve it?
Yeah, you deserve it. Yeah.
I deserve my birthday.
Yeah,
I deserve to be alive right now. Oh man, that felt like a enjoy your food. Thanks, you too, to the waitress at the restaurant.
That's I'm the king of that. Have and enjoy your food. Thanks, you as well. As I drive away from the drive-thru. Thanks, guys. Absolutely. Happy birthday. You deserve everything, but that's coming your way.
Thank you. No, thank you. Not in the threatening way.
I can't help myself.
Oh, man. If you like our content, please remember to hit the like button. Please subscribe and share our show. We're trying to grow the channel. Hit the notification bell as well so that you can stay updated on all of our content. Leave us a review if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, or Amazon Music. And even if you're not, you guys should head over there and give us a 5-star review anyway. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at What's in a Game NBA. We have our new, I still have it listed as a new clip channel, but it's been around, at What's in a Game NBA Clips. And always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks.